Okay, so what you want to do then, make sure you're in System Preferences, and we're going to take and go to Mouse and Keyboard, and right in here, okay, you want to do this. You want to change this, first of all. Make sure that you have button 3 as the middle button, okay? You have your primary button right here on the side, and your secondary button over here. So this is your right click, this is your left click. Button 3 we'll be using to rotate things, okay, in Blender. And again, this is 2.5. If you're on keyboard, it won't look right. If you're on mouse, it'll look like that. If you have a different mouse in, it may not look like this.
Okay.
Because you already have a primary, a secondary. Notice this is a mouse that is a Mac mouse. Okay? If you have a PC mouse, it will not work. It will not look the same. Okay? All right. Once you've got that, I think we're good. Michaela, if you could go to keyboard shortcuts here and check to see if that screenshots right there is open, and make sure those are checked for you.
What should I do with those symbols? So then when they have that little pointing up finger, they're saying hit 6. When they have that little pointing up.
Okay. Excuse me. Go ahead and exit out of System Preferences. If you have a if you have Blender open and you have a PC mouse, you can come over here and go to User Preferences here. And somewhere in here, where is that? If you have a PC mouse, not a Mac mouse, okay, you can come over here and go to Emulate 3-button mouse right here, that checkbox there, okay? And that will help you in your navigation. I think that'll set us up all properly. Does anybody have a PC mouse that they're using? Okay, so you 3 will only have to do that, okay? Cool. Okay, so when you open this up, this is what you get. This is what your interface looks like. Are you with us, Brandon? Okay. All right. If you look at this, you can zoom in and out just by scrolling forward and backward. Okay. You can go inside of it. Okay. And if you hold down the mouse button, okay, hold down the mouse button straight down, push it straight down, and rotate, you can see that you have a 3D world. Okay. So hold down the mouse button and rotate. You may have to hold Alt.
I do understand.
And if you hold Control and push the mouse forward or backward, you can see it zooms. You do not want to, you guys see this here? You do not want to grab these things because it'll move the box forward, left, right, okay? So you do not want to grab it. All right? Is anybody having trouble rotating it?
I had to go get this because my mom and I decided I'm going to take summer classes because I don't want to have to do chemistry and pre-calc all next year.
Okay. We're starting Blender, so you may want to jump in. So all you're doing is pushing straight down with the mouse button and moving your mouse left and right. Okay. Okay, so this is how your grandma feels when you tell her to click on the button. Okay, and she doesn't know how to move the mouse when she's going out. You ever have that?
Yeah, my grandma comes and gets me in my room whenever she gets a pop-up. I know what I go through.
Are you guys doing this?
I just walk out of my room.
Okay. All right. So here is the key commands for this. Okay, you can rotate it. If you use these arrows here, and if Eric, would you turn off the light? Thank you. Real quick, you can just click on this and drag it to the left. You can drag it to the left. Okay, or you can rotate it, and you can click on the green is the what axis? Anybody know? The Y axis. That's right. The red is the X, green is the Y, and Z axis is blue. Okay. Now, as you were rotating, you probably noticed a couple things in this. Shh. You probably noticed a couple things in this. This right here is the camera. Okay? This is the sun or the light source. All right? So right now, if you want to see what's in the view of the camera, you would hit on your number pad on the right-hand side of your keyboard, okay, the 0. Make sure your cursor is... Notice my cursor, if I put it out here and hit 0, it doesn't do anything. But if I put it in the window here and I hit 0, it shows me the view from the camera. Okay? And you can still move it left and right. So say we wanted to animate this thing and have this thing come into the frame, and then we wanted to rotate it or whatever, we could do that. Okay? But you can see this is the camera view. This is what you want to sort of pay attention to. Okay? That is, again, hitting 0 on the number keypad. That's all the keypad at the bottom. It's not the numbers at the top. Okay? Now you'll notice the timeline down here at the bottom. This is where your keyframes are held, right here. Okay? So this is actually how you animate using their timeline right down here. Okay? I'll just walk you through this here. You have different modes here that you can do in different views. These are your views here. You can see there's a timeline view. There's graph editor, UV image editor, node editor, logic editor, so on and so forth, and other properties. Okay, we won't use that a whole lot. We'll use it a little bit. You can see here that you have different views. Okay, and we just went to the camera view, right? Then we have your selections, your objects. Okay, and you can actually move the object to the center, snap it, so on and so forth. So I think what we'll do is we're going to quickly go into our next mode here, which is edit mode. And I'll show you this real quick. Go to edit mode. Okay, and you'll notice that your box is highlighted. Okay, your box is highlighted. So what I'd like you to do is hit A on your keyboard. A. Okay, and if you hit A, you'll notice it deselects. Okay, A deselects all. All right. Now, if we want to move a particular point on this thing, you can see that at the bottom here, and I'll show you this real quick. We are in we're in a solid mode right now. Okay, and these are important. Which mode you're in, whether it's edit mode, solid mode, you can go to wireframe if you'd like, and you can see that it's then see-through. Okay? So this is called wireframe right here. Right there. So right next to edit mode, you'll see that you can change it to wireframe or solid. We will continue to go over here just a little bit, and you can see here, this is really important. This is vertex select mode, or edge select mode, or the face select mode. You will use this a lot, okay, depending on what you want to select and what you want to deselect. Okay, so right now we're going to stick with a vertice, and we're going to select one. So to select one, I'm going to hold Control down, and I'm going to circle the point I want selected. So I just hold the Control down and select a corner. If your box is all yellow like this, you need to hit A again. So Cody, you would need to hit A. Okay? Then hold Control down, and you're just going to circle a vertex. You can then move that vertex, and you can see that it changes the shape of your object. Only move it once, and then hit Command Z, and let's get 2 points. Okay, so I'm going to grab this other point right up here.
What if we have like 30 points?
That's fantastic. And do the same thing. So you grab 2 points, you can move it. So now you have a ramp or a big shovel for a Tonka truck. Okay? So you can edit these again by selecting them, moving them left and right. I'm going to hit A again. And I'm going to select the other side here, these two right here. And I'm going to take and pull this out. And we now have a trapezoid. Very good. You with us, Tyron?
I'm trying to be.
Okay.
It's not really working though. You like come up
Yep.
Lisa?
Brandon, you want to try catching it?
Do what?
One.
What's the view for the camera again? What was the button to hit the view camera? Isn't it?
Okay, everybody doing all right?
Yes.
What do I need to do?
If he needs help, just jump over. Tyron. Okay, now, here's what I'd like you to do. Just if he gets stuck. If I rotate this, you can see that it's going to rotate around the point where the X, Y, and Z axis is. Okay? Does that make sense? And if you hit, I'm going to back up just a little bit. If you hit, okay, there are different angles to this, and I'm just going to show you this real quick. On your number keypad, hit number 7. And you can see that this is called the XY view right here, number 7. Okay? I'm going to hit number 1 on my number keypad. Be done editing for a minute.
The ZX view?
And this is the ZX view. Okay? If you're doing something else, you probably want to get with us because these views are pretty important.
My camera's all screwed up, so.
Okay? So 1, 7, and 3. 3 is your YZ view. Okay?
Oh God.
And if you go and view it through your camera, just hit 0 again. You can actually see what you've edited, okay? And you can zoom in that way if you want. but that is the view of your camera, okay, by hitting 0.
What happens if we press B?
Not good.
What happens though?
It tries to play
The
it.
world explodes.
It tries to hit play.
Okay. So what I'd like you to do is this. You ready? We're going to hit A twice to make sure it's all selected, like that. So everything should be all selected. And I'm going to show you how to delete this.
I want to delete my button.
Okay? To delete, what we're going to do is hit X on your keyboard. And it will say vertices, edges, or faces, or all. We'll do faces. And it should be gone. Okay, next. I'd like you to hit 1 on your keypad and zoom in here and put your cursor in the center. Okay. Hit 7 and then place it in the cursor in the center for the X and Y axis. So if you have 1 and 7 in the center, then 3 should be about in the center too. Okay, just to navigate through to make sure that you are going to put this next, wherever your cursor is, if you add something to this, that's where the next piece will be generated.
Mine won't like screw in on the center. Mine zooms in like off to the side.
Yeah, all of us. No, not me. I got it. All of us that are complaining. Yeah, mine zooms in to like towards the camera.
When they zoom in, it zooms off center.
Yeah, what I really want to know is how, like, let's say I wanted to build something cool. Let's say I build an arm over here, and an arm over here, and another leg, and I have a body, and I want to like put those objects together. How do I like merge it so that it accepts those all as one shape?
So say it again, like what are you trying to do?
I've got lots of different shapes all over the place, and I want to combine them as one. Not just as armature. As what? Armature.
I'm not familiar with this side.
This thing back at the house I was working on, it was like a dog, and I had the head sculpted, and it was awesome, and it was adorable. And then I started building the body out of like, cylinders and circles and all that stuff. Yeah. It was, I think it was like the newest one. It was, no, it was the newest one at the beginning of this school year.
Okay, here's another way to get your cursor to the center. Okay, if you were unable to do the 1, 7, and 3, some of yours are rotating differently, and that's why you got to be careful not to push buttons that you're not asked to push. Because if you start pushing stuff, you can totally get into something that I have no clue how to get out of. Well, like right now they're zooming in, and when they zoom in, it doesn't go to the center. It goes to the left or right. And so
Lock it to cursor.
you could do that. How do you? Is that
Push in, and then it'll say view slash cursor.
okay? Okay. Here's another way to do this. To put your cursor in the center, right here. If you go to Mesh and go to Snap rather, and you want to snap the cursor to center. Okay, puts it right in the center for you.
Then push in. Then view left to.
Okay, that's okay. What I'd like you to do is hit N on your keyboard, and you'll notice N brings up a number of things, number of tools. Okay, so as long as your cursor's in the center here in this gray point, and you hit N, it will bring up another menu for you over here. Okay, and you'll notice over here on the right hand side, lock cursor to center, or lock to cursor rather. All right, did everybody see that? It was right here. All right. So now if you hit 1, 7, or 3, it should adjust a little bit. It may look a little bit different than what it did before. So if you don't want it locked, you can unlock it. All right, and then you can hit N again. Okay, and it'll get rid of that number of menu items. All right, we're going to add something. So to add something, you hit Shift A.
N's not getting rid of the menu.
Yep. N is, well, you got to put your cursor in the gray box area.
There we go.
Okay. And then what you want to do is hit Shift A, and we'll zoom in here, and we're going to add a UV sphere. Okay. And this UV sphere is round if you rotate it. And if you hit 1, 7, and 3, you can see that it gives you all the loops of the actual item. Okay, it shows you the loops and the axes. And what I'd like you to do is to come down here just to show you how to edit this here a little bit. We're going to go to the faces right here. Everybody see this button?
Yep.
Okay, we're going to click on that. And what you'll notice then is in each face, okay, in each face of this, there is a dot. So everybody hit A. And I'm going to go back to solid because it's a little bit easier to see as a solid. Wireframe with spheres are sort of confusing. Okay? But here's my sphere. Let's just say I wanted this sphere to be a dagger. I don't know why. Okay, so what I would do is I would zoom in here and I would select this center point, okay, or this area. Or if I wanted it to be a sucker. Okay, let's just do this here real quick. You ready? This is the part that is the sucker. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to select by holding the Control key down. I'm going to select those faces. What's that?
Screencast.
Oh yeah, you can turn that on.
You did?
What's that?
You did or didn't?
I didn't screen. Oh yeah, I did. I did, yeah. Capture it, you mean?
Sure.
Oh no, I didn't do that. Okay, and if you look over here, and if I go to the number 1 option here, okay, you can actually take and pull this part out, okay, and you can see that it starts to make like a stick kind of thing. Okay, doesn't really look like a sucker though, does it? Looks like a microphone. Absolutely. So just zoom back out. You can pull that down a little bit further if you need to. There's my microphone.
May I use the restroom?
Sure.
Can I have a pass or something?
Yep. There you go. Okay, so once you've got that out there, go ahead and undo it, and let's get it back to a sphere, and I'll show you how to make a sucker.
What?
Okay. Now you can
Getting into some architecture here.
select. Right now I have this selected. If I actually like were to select I don't know, a couple of these faces here, I could grab these faces here, and you would see that I would have multiple things selected here. And if I drag those out, guess what? Okay, it moves. It will get funky with you.
Already
You can
learned.
make the Death Star. Yes.
Get lasers. Get the lasers on there. Hello.
Actually, it kind of looks like the Death Star.
Okay? Now I want to show you something real quick. If you come down here to the edge view, okay? Come down to the edge view right here. We've used the vertice view, the vertice selection, and the face selection. We're going to go to the edge selection. I'm going to show you how to select a loop. I found this very useful. Okay? If you want to make this some sort of dish, if you hold the Alt key down under the Option key and right-click, okay? So if I hold the Alt key down and right-click on this, I can actually select loops. See that? And then I can actually drag those loops around. So I can make like a speaker or a lamp.
Oh God, what did I do? I heard you lag. It's madness. Oh no, it's just a meeting here, I'm sure.
Mr. Biss, I cannot zoom in.
Do what? You scroll forward, it's not zooming in?
What? What have I done?
I like the Death Star better.
What have I done?
That was sort of my preface to the whole thing, was don't push the wrong button. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, cool.
Brandon, how do you do the snap cursor to the center thing? What's your set? When you snap the cursor to the center, what's your shift?
Whoa. I made a barrel.
Oh, that's what I learned.
I think it
Now try it.
Here.
Okay, so if your sphere is totally messed up and you can't fix it, what I would do is hit A twice, make sure it's selected. Okay, and then hit X to delete it. And you can hit all. Okay, and if you hit all, it deletes the whole thing. And if you want to put your cursor back in the center, just go to Mesh over here in the bottom right-hand corner, Snap, Cursor to Center. And hit Shift-A again to insert another UV sphere. And I'll show you how to make a sucker here real quick.
Could you just get a cylinder and make it really long and skinny?
You could, but there's an easier way. Once you have your sphere back in there, you just extrude it. Yeah. Once you've got your sphere back in there, okay, and you've got the view of the, and you'll notice over here it gives you the Z and X axis here, okay? If you hit the number 1 on your keypad, what I'm going to do is actually select. Do you want your stick to be solid or hollow?
Solid.
Solid. Okay. All right. So what we need to do is come over here again to the faces, face select mode. Okay. And we're going to select this area right here. Okay. So to do that again, hold the Control key down. Come back to 1, and what you're going to do is hit E. E means extrude. Okay?
What did I just do?
Now, if you did not hit E, then it's not going to extrude.
Mr. Good, it seems to be selecting the top of the sphere as well. It seems to be selecting it like through both poles or something. Feels.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay. Now. Okay. So there is your
Oh my.
lollipop.
I think I just. I think I rushed.
Actually, you know, this just gets into some
Oh.
My, oh God.
Things are all messed up. I have no clue what you're doing.
Yes.
How do you guys try that? No. Hey, should I try to make it hot last time?
Yep.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, what?
I don't want to talk about my childhood.
I have 3 older sisters.
A new piece. Okay, what E does is it not just, what extrude means is it not only, it keeps what was there. Like if you notice what we stretched before, stretched out with it. Okay, but this actually kept what was there and started a new piece.
Undo it.
So E extrudes and creates a new piece.
So amazing. What is going on?
Okay?
Help.
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 This is how they do.
It doesn't- I can't do it. I just keep it's like,
AJ, what's one other game that was like
What?
What's one other thing you talked about in class about getting the youth?
Look it up.
I said that we discussed in class.
I don't think he remembers the exact one. Space carpenter, USD. That's what I put. Yeah, he copied it from me.
Okay, if you got this done correctly, let's go ahead and if it looks pretty good as far as the ratio goes, proportionally, if that looks pretty good to you, the stick may be just a little bit too lengthy, about like that. Okay, then you can just go ahead and go File, Save, and you'll notice the menu is very different. Okay, very different from anything you've seen yet. You have to be very, very specific about where you save things and how you save things. It does not automatically save, okay? And you have to be careful. This is actually a lot more friendly than the old version, okay? So over here, if you look, if you want to put it into documents. If you click on documents, you'll see that it will open up all your folders. Okay. And I'll go to graphic design and animation, junior animation,
We don't have those folders.
and we don't have a folder.
I made a bigger folder.
Just throw it in my documents, got it.
Okay.
Have the image down the bottom.
So for now, just throw it in whatever folder you want in your documents, or just put it in documents. If you want to make a new folder, you can move that out of the way, come over here, go through the process of go to your documents, junior animation,
Actually, just make a new folder.
I just put mine on this stuff, circle everything. I don't remember the name of that.
and just call this one Lollipop,
Lollipop.
Oh, I already saved it.
just so you know what it's called. Into a Blender folder, whatever, into a folder somewhere.
Lollipop.blend.
Yep.
Nice try.
You're going very far.
No. Yeah, that's all I saw.
Cute, right? I was gonna try.
Everybody got their Lollipop saved?
Mr. Fish, you come here. This is my signature. Mr. Fish, come here.
Once you got that saved, we will just come back in here in just a minute.
I don't know, man.
I don't know why it's weird.
Whatever.
It's really.
Okay, what I'd like you to do is this. Okay, I'll show you how to select things through an object here. Okay. So what I want you to do is hit 1. And if it comes off to the side here, if it's in the center, it's great. You just want to zoom into the center. I'm going to put my cursor over here, and you can see that wherever I click, it sort of moves. Okay. So if you want to change that, I can go Mesh and go to Snap Cursor to Center or to Active. Okay. All right. So if you snap it to the center, it goes to the center, and then you're able to move it around in a direction that makes sense. Okay. Okay. So what I want to do is show you how to select the sphere. If I hold the Control key down. If I hold the Control key down and select just this area right here, okay, it gets the front side, but if you look, it did not get the back. Okay, so I'm just going to undo that, And what I want to show you is this right here. Okay? I'll zoom in here so you can see it. It says limit selection to visible. Okay, if I click on this, okay, right next to the faces, you see this right here? Right there. If I click on that, it allows me to select not only the things in front, but whatever's behind it as well. Okay? So now if I select this,
No, I don't.
P doesn't happen on Windows. It should.
you can see that it's selected everything behind it as well, which is pretty handy when you're actually wanting to select many things at once. You don't have to scroll around it and find it. Okay? This button right here. Okay? And the reason I showed you this is because our lollipop is rather, it's not smooth. It's rather rigid. It's dimensional. So to smooth that out, if you come over here to the left, if you look, you can actually subdivide it. But if you scroll down a little bit, there is a smooth function. Okay, right here. Yep, under shading, there's a smooth. And if you subdivide it, don't do this a lot because it will destroy your thing. If you subdivide it once, you can see it even goes more smooth. So if you go to your object mode, you can now see that the sucker itself is rather smooth, but the stick itself is rather rigid. Okay, it has dimension to it. It has faces to it.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Oh my god! Go. Tyler Brooks.
Nothing wrong.
Let's do it. Hey, Brandon. Come here real quick.
Oh, and then black select. Whatever you select. Yes. Oh, jeez. What are you trying to do? That's what we just did. And then we came back here.
You do not want to subdivide a lot because the more vertices you have, and it's really important because listen to this, the more vertices you have, the heavier this is going to be as far as a file goes. So when you create things, you want to create them with as few vertices as possible, okay? To make it look as real as it needs to be. So if you just go in and subdivide, your object will take load surrender and will have more opportunity to crash. Okay? All right? Any questions?
Yeah.
Yeah?
How did you get all your black lines?
Object mode. Yeah. I went to object mode instead of edit mode, and it's solid view right now. So right here, if you take this and just toggle it back to object mode, object mode, solid view, it'll look somewhat like that.